I think we all need to lower our expectations in life in general, not with a specific thing. Um, I feel like this is a common idea. This is something I feel like everyone has encountered or come across, but it's the idea that if you lower your expectations, then the chance of getting disappointed goes down, or you don't get disappointed as much if you lower your expectations or don't have any expectations at all. And I think I found that to be true, but I don't maybe that's not the main reason why you should lower your expectations. Maybe maybe you shouldn't be lowering them just because you don't get disappointed, which is a great reason. I'm not going to lie, like not getting disappointed over somebody doing something to you, someone acting a certain way, or just something happening in your day because you don't have expectations is great. And in my experience, it works. It works. So, for example, tomorrow I have work later in the day. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do beforehand. Um, Maybe edit some videos, maybe make a design, read a little bit, practice some piano. So when I'm sitting down, I don't have my day tomorrow figured out yet, but maybe I will later. So when I sit down and plan out my day tomorrow, I write down what I'm going to do, or even just think about it mentally and have it there in my head. Like I said, for example, I'll work out, practice piano, read, edit, do whatever, shower, and then head over to work. Now, tomorrow comes by. Let's say somebody calls me, somebody texts me, something comes up, and I can't get most of those things done. Most of those things that I wanted to do. Maybe I get one thing done. Maybe I got to work out, but everything else I wanted to do, practice piano, read, I didn't get any of those things done. So should I feel disappointed? Should I be upset at this? I mean, like I would have every right to be upset. Um, because in life, well, life is like there's gonna be things that are out of our control, and that's a reality of life. That's a rule of life. Every day, we go through things that, or we deal with things that we have to. We didn't put them on our plate; they were just served to us, and maybe we're looking at a pile of shit, and we have to deal with it. And that's just life. There's a lot of things in life that we can't control, and we have to accept that. So I feel like that's one of the things that I've learned and really internalized. I'd say a few years ago is aside from expectations, is understanding that life is filled with things that we can't control. Life is full of problems that are just served to us that we didn't order, we didn't ask for, but guess what? Here we are. And now what are we going to do about it? That's what we have to figure out. So, I feel like those two things in conjunction, if you understand there's things you can't control, um and not only just understanding that, but also making like making a decision to not get upset over those things, or at least not to stay upset. Because in the past, before I've had this way of thinking, let's say growing up as a teenager, very emotional, going through puberty, all that stuff, whatever, things would happen, and then I would get mad, and I would get really mad, and it would stop me from doing other things. It would get in the way. and then it would alter, or not alter, like affect my behavior towards other people, towards myself. And it was just not a good way to go about things, because like I said, life is full of problems we can't control, and if we get upset over every problem, if we let it debilitate us, then how are we going to move forward? Then how are we going to ever be at peace in life or happy? For me, it's peace. For you, maybe happiness. But how are we ever going to achieve those things if we let problems that come into our life control us? So that's one of the things. It's not get upset, because why am I going to get upset over something that I had nothing to do with? Obviously, there's levels to this. There's things that happen in our lives that are out of our control. But like right now, I could go outside and let's say my tire's blown out. I'll be upset. I would be very upset. I don't have any plans later today though or anything, so I could just change the tire, go to Walmart, get it fixed. Is that gonna change my day though? Yes, it is, because there's still some things that I want to do after this. There's a few things that I want to do after this video. I still have to practice, study, read, whatever the case may be. But I understand. Like who am I gonna blame? Who is there to blame for the tire going out? It may be me. It might have been my fault. Maybe I didn't fill it up enough the other day whenever I did fill them up, and it just, I don't know, blew up, whatever. But it's like, in the past, something like that would have kept me angry, I would have been mad like the rest of the day. But understanding that the tire going out was not under my control. There's nothing I could have done. Maybe there's stuff you could do to prevent it, but it happened. It happened. So like, what am I going to do now? What can I do now? Fix it. I'm not going to just sit here and be mad, or I can go fix it. Am I going to be mad while fixing it though? Like I feel like being mad at things, being mad at our problems is a waste of energy. Being mad at things we can't control, I feel like that's a waste of our energy. And so focus on what you can do about the situation rather than the situation itself or how debilitating it is to your day. And then going forward with the expectations thing, I know I kind of derailed a bit, but I wanted to talk about this as well, is that if you go throughout your day expecting things, you're going to get disappointed. Because another thing about life, there's things that are always going to be out of our control. And if that's a rule of life, things are going to happen that are out of our control. So once we expect something, unless we can control every single factor, every variable about whatever that thing is, then we're likely to get disappointed. Things are likely to not work out exactly the way you want them to. You have to expect that. If you want to expect something, I would say expect the worst, honestly. Maybe not the absolute worst, but expect there to be a hiccup. Expect there to be a bump in the road. Expect for something to happen that isn't good for you, but that you can handle it. Like if you're already expecting it, then you're already preparing for it, then It's already running around in your head, and what's left is for that thing to happen, and then you tackle it the way you normally do. And I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing with people, honestly. Well, things in general. Um, this idea of not expecting things, I feel like I've also learned it. Along with the idea of trying to enjoy life more, trying to appreciate it more. So instead of expecting things to happen or expecting things to go a certain way, we we sit here and experience life for what it is. So we sit here and receive whatever is coming to us, whatever is happening, whatever happens in your day, those things you can't control, that's life. And I feel like instead of putting an expectation on something, we should just sit here and wait for it to happen, not in the sense that we're not doing anything productive or we're not moving forward or anything like that, but rather more so as like a defensive position, or just being ready for things to go wrong. And so when I say this about our daily lives, if I have plans to go out with friends, like, am I expecting to have fun? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like those things are fair. I'm not saying don't expect nothing at all. There's obviously situations, instances, parts of our lives where we have to expect a certain thing. If you have a kid and you're getting them a babysitter, you expect that babysitter to take care of your kid. That's a fact. I feel like that's just an objective truth, and that's not what I'm discussing right now in this video, but rather things that just happen in our lives, interactions that we go through with other people. I feel like going into a situation and I mean, I know I've repeated myself, but going into a situation expecting a certain result really just opens the door up for you to get disappointed. If I am going to have a conversation with somebody and I'm expecting it to go this way, the second it turns around, it goes another way. The second that person says something I don't want to hear, or maybe something that offends me, or whatever the case may be, the second that happens, I'm disappointed. And that person did not meet my expectations. The conversation didn't meet my expectations. So what do I do with that? Do I just pout about it? Like, it's just something negative because I got disappointed. Disappointment is a negative feeling. But instead, once you go into a conversation with somebody, you can want things to go a certain way. We're human, and I feel like that's definitely a part of life. Is I don't think you wanting something to go a certain way is necessarily expecting something. It's just your desire, and as humans, we all have desires. So it's okay for you to want a conversation or a situation to go a certain way, but just have that in the back of your mind. Just be aware that it can go a different way. Be aware if in this instance, if it's specifically a conversation with somebody else, they're their own person. They can do whatever they want. They have free will. So the conversation can go a million different ways. we are at 15 minutes. I don't want to talk too much longer. Yeah, I think those were the main things I wanted to discuss. I mentioned going through life and receiving it rather than living a life full of expectations. And it's like even going to work too. I work at Home Depot in customer service, which is like I could easily, and I had this mindset before. I used to have this way of thinking, specifically when it came to work, and especially working at a retail job and in customer service. It's like I go to work and I have to, not that all the customers are bad, but it's customer service. I'm sure you guys can imagine the Karens we get, people yelling at me. Somebody told me to fuck off the other day over the phone, and it's like I could go to work and expect those things to happen. And if I'm going to work expecting already a bad day, expecting to deal with bad customers, well, maybe this is different because it's customer service. So maybe this is kind of more like of an objective truth. It's like you work in customer service, you're gonna deal with that. But whatever, I'm gonna ride this explanation out. I'm gonna write it out. So I can easily, which I've done in the past, like I said, it's like go to work and dread it, and it's like, oh, I have to deal with these customers, these people cursing me out over the phone. Oh my god, it's gonna be a tough day. Like I'm already exhausted just thinking about it. Like going to work and already thinking about clocking out. And that's a bad way to live life. That's a bad way to show up to work. I mean, work is work. Most people don't like their jobs, and me, I'm working a retail job. It's not the best job in the world. It's a means to an end. And so I definitely do have those feelings of like, oh, I'm ready to clock out already and whatnot. But those just come and go. I'm not, when I'm driving to work, I'm not constantly thinking like, damn, I have an 8-hour shift. I'm going to be dealing with all these customers. It's going to be a tough day. And then when I get home, I'm going to be tired and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, damn, like you didn't even set foot on the premises yet. And you're already like thinking about clocking out. You're already thinking about how hard, or not even hard, because the job's not hard, but how stressed it can make you, I guess. And that's just an example of how expectations can hinder you, can hinder your day. I think one of my goals, I guess spiritually or whatever, or mentally, whatever you want to say, is like trying to just enjoy life more. Trying to enjoy the day-to-day things. And I think that expecting things every day stops you from living life, stops you from being able to sit down and experience things fully as they come to you. Yeah. So don't expect too much. Just live life how life comes at you. You still have control over certain things. Do what you can with those. And with whatever is out of your control, you want to be upset for a second, be upset for a little bit. As soon as it hits you, be upset. Then gather yourself and do what you can about it.